Hey guys, welcome to 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to stay up to date to everything we're doing here on 3 and Out and the Volume. The big story of the week, beside the schedule release, was a man that goes by the name of Thomas Edward Brady Jr., TB12, Tom Brady, signed with Fox to call football games and be a part of the Fox brand when he retires, which who the hell knows when he's going to retire. What's funny about this is he actually did retire for like 40 days, and I don't think any human has hated retirement more than Tom Brady. He retired for 40 days, and then within like 2 months of him returning to play football, he had signed another contract with another company to work when he finished playing football. Grinders love to grind. Workers work. You know, he's not like Tom Brady can already play a lot of golf. Well, what the hell else is he going to do? Like Tom Brady's got time. He has resources whenever he needs to go anywhere. Tom Brady's not a retirement type. Guys like Tom Brady don't dream of 20 years sitting on the beach. And listen, I like sitting on the beach, and I love playing golf as much as the next guy. Unless you're Tiger Woods, you can't do it every day. Unless you're Laird Hamilton or Kelly Slater, you can't go to the beach every day. Once you get older, if you're a doer, doers like to do. So while it was funny, it's actually kind of understandable. Now, let's take it kind of seriously. I'll be honest. When I saw the headline, I was surprised. I did not expect this. Not because he's still in the league, but if you would have told me Tom Brady had really retired, he was done with football, I would say the last thing he would have done is call football games. I think you've seen, listen, the game's changed. You know, forever, if you wanted to listen to people talk about sports, you had to turn on the radio. You know, you couldn't pay me to turn on the radio beside like Sirius and listen to Channel 83 and Coward. It's the only sports show that I really listen to beside podcasts, right? The game, podcasts and YouTube, like the game has completely changed. Look at Man in the Arena. Where did you find Man in the Arena? ESPN Plus, which is a streaming service. That would not have existed 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Creators have the control, which is awesome. I'm a creator, you know. I am directly benefiting from the time. So are guys like Brady and Manning. Even Peyton, right? He owns Omaha Productions. They put on the Manning cast. He has equity and juice in the deal. Now, the difference in this is obviously Tom is not going to get to own Fox or get to own the NFL broadcast rights, so they had to pay him a premium. Now, he has disputed because after the initial, like, oh my God, Tom Brady is going to call football games, I think that was most of our reaction. He really wants to do that? Now, he's not flying Delta. He's not sitting in economy. You know, he's not paying $10 for a Milky Way and a soda in the airport. The guy hasn't been outside of a private jet hangar in 15 plus years. So his travel is different than me and you, but it's still surprising. You know, it's still like Romo. I mean, Aikman's made more money calling games than he ever did playing in the NFL. So it's understandable why his generation, Steve Young is one of the greatest players ever. He's been on TV for 15 years. Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, all these guys worked in media. The money was so... Tom Brady, even though he's quote-unquote underpaid as an NFL player by his own volition, I mean, he chose that, he still made like $250+ million just playing football, and we know how much he's made off it. Money is no problem, and his wife's rich. He's addicted to football. He is addicted to football. Say it all the time about Tiger Woods. He is addicted to golf. Even Peyton Manning, who I think is better at retirement than Tom, is addicted to football. And you see it come out in the Manning cast. He fucking loves it. He gets juiced up. You know, I talked to Sean McVay on his drive home on Friday night. He was telling me about these covers. Can you imagine the conversations when he's like, yeah, I was just shooting the breeze last week with Sean Payton getting ready for this game. Peyton always acts like he doesn't prepare, and then it's like, yeah, it was just Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes told me last week Peyton Manning does more work than probably half the broadcasters because he just loves it. Football guys like talking to other football guys. Finance guys like talking to other finance guys, right? You like talking, if you like playing golf, you like talking to other golfers. You like talking to other people who like what you like. And at the highest level of the industries, Peyton Manning sees eye to eye with the Andy Reids, the Josh McDaniels, the Kyle Shanahans. Like, they're going to have a lot in common. They're going to be able to talk. Well, don't you think Tom Brady's the same? They're cut from the same cloth. And I wonder if Tom saw just the positive reinforcement that Peyton was getting from the Manning cast. He literally went on it, and it was awesome. And he went, I got this in the bag. Now, you would say that Peyton Manning feels a little more everyman, even though Peyton Manning is probably like not that much poorer than Tom Brady. Tom Brady, while, I would say he's a little different personality than Peyton. He associates with higher-end brands and the fitness stuff. Tom Brady clearly gets along with all his teammates. Tom Brady is an everyman. Now, it's going to be and when you watch him, my only question, I like my broadcasters to be okay being critical. Because part of being critical is being okay getting pushback. And who gives a shit what other people think? If you believe it, say it. I don't like people that just make shit up. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, like half the time I don't even think they believe what they're saying. Skip definitely, Stephen A. I actually met Stephen A. one time and he acts exactly when you meet him in a hallway and just start shooting the breeze with him like he does on television. So maybe Stephen A. actually believes it. But you know the genre of people that talk about sports. Like, they talk about things like, I don't even think you believe that. I'd rather do something else before I just made things up because I wanted to make money doing this. I talk about it because I enjoy talking about this, and I have an opinion on Tom Brady. I'm not just talking about this because I think I should be talking about this. I wrote down a bunch of things that interest me about Tom. And clearly a lot of people in this kind of medium talking about sports fake it. Maybe less and less now in the podcast because people have to choose to listen to you. But the one thing I would say about Tom Brady is in Man in the Arena, he's very raw and real. And that's what I like. I like raw and real. And he swears. I mean, that content was like made for me. And I was like, God, Tom, he's just captivating. Well, you're not able to do that on television, right? On Fox, on the broadcast. So you're not going to be able to be quite like you were in the locker room. The other thing, and Peyton Manning said this last year, is like, I'm not getting into this to just rip people. I don't want to do that. And to me, there's a difference between just being super negative guy, like Mike Francesa, who's a legend. I'm not anti-Mike Francesa. But over the years, him and Russo, they would just be negative on everything. And that plays in Philly. When I lived in Philly, Mike missing, like that's the market there. Boston, you can just be very negative. And listen, if you screw something up as a coach or a player, it's okay to be critical. But those guys struggle on just like basic things like that was a terrible play call. And the fans who provide every penny for the NFL, we're all thinking that on our couch. So when you can speak for the fan, that's when you become a star. Like part of the reason Tony Romo became a star is because he knew all the plays. Do you know what Tony Romo no longer knows? All the plays. And now Tony, to me, can just like be caught in no man's land. Like Tony the guy, to me the broadcaster has gotten a little cheesy because he's not going to just put the hammer down. Aikman last year got back to his roots. Sometimes when a quarterback's playing like crap, like I'm dedicating hours out of my Sunday as a fan to consume my team. And if they're not playing well, I'm going to be mad, especially gambling. We're all in bed with these gambling companies. Why? Because we're all gambling, So I got $100 on the game. I got $500 on the game. And you start screwing up, like I'm pissed off. And Aikman would get into people, especially coaches. And if you're not willing to do that, it's hard to be a great announcer. So I think because Tom, you better believe behind closed doors, they talk a ton of shit. He blasts other players and coaches. We're all humans. We're all the same. Is he willing to do that on air? And I don't know. I hope he is, but I think it's going to be very, very tough because the hard thing that he's going to have to overcome is let's just use a hypothetical here. Tom Brady, 125 Fox is calling Cowboys-Packers in 2 years. And it's Rodgers versus Dak. And they're both 5-0. And Dak has a terrible game. And he goes, I don't think Dak's that good. Watching this season, I know they're undefeated coming into this game, but I think it's because of the defense and the running game, and I think Dak's pretty overrated. Can you imagine if he said something like that? Even though if like a lot of people were thinking that? Or like I think that Aaron Rodgers is slipping. My point is everything Tom Brady says, every single thing. Like Chris Collinsworth can be critical of someone, and we talk about it that night when we're watching the game on Twitter, but it's not a story the next day. those first couple years, every single thing Tom says specifically about head coaches and quarterbacks are going to be the headline the next day. Tom Brady thinks Mike McCarthy is not a good play caller. Tom Brady thinks, Trevor Lawrence is better than Andrew Luck. Whatever his comments, they are immediate headlines. They are guys like me. Damn, did you see what Tom Brady said? That's just a fact. So I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be very, very challenging. Tom Brady, can you believe what Tom Brady said about his relationship with Belichick toward the end on air? Now, I don't know if he's willing to do that. Like, Peyton Manning has not got remotely close to doing any of that, even though they all have the stories and they all have the thoughts and the opinions. So I'm fascinated to see how that goes. But I do think that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were like Bird and Magic, right? They were rivals. Now, unlike Bird and Magic, Bird, they want to combine 8 finals. Tom, almost 4x'd Peyton, right? He's got 7, Peyton's got 2. I mean, he almost has 4 times as many. So the gap is much bigger. But still, like when you think Peyton, you think Brady, and when you think Brady, you think his contemporary was Peyton. And I'm not saying they're equals. Like, obviously Tom's better, but you know what I mean. You can't tell me that the Manning cast and Peyton's places didn't inspire Tom. I mean, the man in the arena, I think, is inspired, and that's cool. Like, sometimes you need inspiration from your contemporaries, from your rivals, from your competition. It brings out the best. If it took Peyton Manning getting into TV to then drop Tom Brady into TV, that's pretty cool. Now, big picture, do I think Tom Brady is going to be on television for 25 years like Troy Aikman? I do not. I mean, the rumors, I think, aren't just rumors. I think there's some validity behind it that he is going to be involved when this guy takes over for Ross in Miami with the Dolphins. Now, I don't know the rules. Could you have an owner be calling games? Fox has the NFC, not the AFC, but there are some crossover games. Maybe you could, but I would imagine, my gut, I've never met Tom Brady. I've seen him play live a couple times. It was cool. Obviously, I'm just a fan of Tom. I admire anyone who has, you can be like, well, they gave him $375 million. Yeah, do you know how many millions he's got in the bank? Why is he doing this? Because he likes to work. He likes to grind. And I think it's so easy to be like, well, it's just so easy when you're getting paid that much. No, it's not. Once you have an unlimited of money, most people would not keep working. Because let's face it, most people don't like what they do. Tom, first and foremost, the reason Tom's so great, he loves what he does. And what he got to do is play a kid's game until he's in his mid-40s. There might never be another Tom. But I don't expect him to do it forever. But again, these are all educated guesses. We'll just see. I mean, who knows when he's going to call his first game? When the hell is he going to retire? And I got to give props to Fox for thinking big. Because there's not a bigger fish that you could go after. There really isn't. Last year, the rumors of people going after Sean McVay, Monday Night Football, Amazon, whatever, that'd be a big fish. It ain't even close to Tom Brady. I think by far, this is the biggest get in the history of television. Given the wealth, the fame, how little he needs this, while he has nothing to gain, everything to lose, I understand. Now, Fox is disputing the number. They're claiming they're not paying him the $375 million. That's not the contract. I don't know. The Murdoch family didn't hit me up with the details of the deal, but it's pretty clear they had to pay a pretty penny. But why would you not pay a pretty penny for the best? I mean, isn't that, if you're gonna pay a lot of money for anything in any walk of life, whether it's a home, whether it's an employee, whether it's a business, you better be getting a premium. Because if you overpay on not great, that's when you get in trouble. We talk about it a lot in free agency. You got to overpay for good. That's part of the deal, right? It's why first-round picks that don't live up to the hype get crushed, because you used a lot of resources to acquire that guy. Whether it's the player's fault or not, the coach's fault, whatever, but regardless, the outcome is the outcome. And Fox went after the biggest fish in the sea, and they landed him. Well, in theory, we'll see when he ends up taking this job, but it definitely got him some headlines. It's just it's a story I didn't see coming, which are the best stories. One's like, damn, that's kind of crazy. And that first game that Tom Brady, Kevin Burkhart's a stud, a great guy, that'll be the highest rated game on Fox. That first game, like when he does his first regular season game, probably ever. Just because, like, what the hell is Tom Brady going to be like on television? I mean, I'll be watching. And the hell, that might be 2028, you know? I might have 2 children by then. Who knows? No, only time will tell. But yeah. The other kind of elephant in the room about Tom is there was a viral video earlier this week that the Dolphins put out. This wasn't a fan that posted it. This wasn't a media member that posted it. This was the Miami Dolphins social accounts. And they posted it of Tua Tagovailoa throwing a deep ball, little play action, just absolute bomb to Tyreek Hill. Now, the problem was on the deep ball and the bomb is that Tyreek Hill, one of the fastest players in the history of the league, had to stop, look back to catch the football. And when you take a still shot of it, as someone posted on Twitter, just the question of pass or punt. Like, is he catching a punt or is he catching a pass? And I've seen a lot of pushback on the internet of like, why are we making such a big deal? No, the Dolphins posted this. And when you watch the video, it's not a great look. Now, I don't think it's fake news or disinformation or whatever you want to say that Tom Brady and Miami Dolphins were a real thing. There's enough smoke where there's clearly some fire. He's boys with the right-hand guy for Ross who's taken over. He was going to play. They were going to bring Sean Payton. None of that happened. Now, Tom ended up getting his way, coming out of retirement, forcing Bruce Arians out. Like, we're not even arguing that anymore. Like, I mean, come on. Let's put the pieces together. But next year, Tom will be a free agent. Now, the Miami Dolphins did just sign Mike McDaniel, and there is no guarantee that he has any clue what he's doing. He's a really good assistant coach, and he played a massive role for Kyle Shanahan. He's an Ivy League genius run game coordinator and offensive mind, and players really, really like him. I'm a fan. But he's never been an offensive play caller, 1, because Kyle always did that, and 2, he's never been a head coach. And now he's inheriting this quarterback, which, let's face it, if they had a do-over, they never would have drafted. And he's been put with, like, their big move this offseason, and I don't blame them for making the move, was trading all the picks and paying all the money for Tyreek Hill. An outstanding, elite, Hall of Fame player. The problem is, as a sweet wide receiver, do you mesh with your quarterback? Right? Tyreek Hill became a superstar once Mahomes got there. He was a really good player with Alex, but him and Alex didn't make sense. One of the reasons DK Metcalf hit the scene and became such a star is he played for the greatest or with the greatest deep ball thrower we've ever seen. If DK Metcalf had played with Daniel Jones or Teddy Bridgewater, he probably would not be DK Metcalf. So when you're a wide receiver, so many things are out of your control. The offensive coordinator, who's creating the offense, and then the guy pulling the trigger under center. And he got Tua. And listen, I don't think it's an overreaction to go, yeah, I don't see this. Tua, I think, has an outrageous amount of pressure. 1, the division's really hard. I mean, the Bills are a powerhouse. Belichick's doing some weird things like Judge or Patricia's going to be the offensive coordinator. But regardless, like, the Patriots are going to be competitive. And the Jets, in theory, should be much better. They have a lot more talent on their team. So, and the other thing about the Dolphins is it's not like they've been the Jags. They've won 19 games the last 2 years. Like, they have been very, very competitive with Fitzpatrick and Tua. So their quarterback play has not exactly been Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. So to me, the pressure on the head coach, but specifically the quarterback, because we know Justin Herbert's going to look sweet. They have offensive weapons everywhere. He's a star. And Burrow is already taking a team to the Super Bowl. So it's like, is this guy, we're not even acting like, can this guy be an all-time great? Can this guy be a Hall of Famer? Can this guy be an all-pro? Can this guy be a starting quarterback? That's how we're talking about Tua. Is he a starting quarterback? And you're like, John, they won 7 of their last 8 games. It's like, yeah, they were playing nobody, and he's got a pea shooter arm. He's not a good athlete. He's short, and he's injury prone. I'm out. Like, I've been out. Like, Tua can't hold Mac Jones's jock as an NFL player. And I'm not the biggest Mac Jones guy, but I think I put those 2 guys in different categories. But the ultimate and the big picture problem of acquiring Tyreek Hill is it's going to expose Tua, because we've seen this guy thrive with an elite player. So we know what Tyreek should look like. And if he doesn't look remotely close to that, it's going to be a problem. You'd be like, John, you're making all these judgments off a social media post. No, I mean, we've watched Tua play, and it has not looked good. The social media post just validates what we're all thinking. This ain't going to work. And then the elephant in the room, is Tom Brady going to be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins in 2023? And listen, I don't know how much longer Tom Brady wants to retire. I sure know he hates retirement. But I do know this, that vindictive's probably the wrong word, but there has to be an element of Tom. He got to play Belichick this year, and it was sweet, week 4, when Tampa won that kind of epic, that Sunday night game. What about playing in the same division? Now, would he play for Mike McDaniel? Maybe there'd be an ouster. Ross has so much money. Maybe they'd pay him to go away. I don't know exactly how it would work. But if and when Tua fails, I think the Tom Brady to Miami buzz won't just grow. It might end up being a real thing. And it's going to be a storyline that we talk about all season long if Tua is underthrowing and throwing balls to the other team. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.